Okay, guys, we're going to make a start. So thank you very much for joining our webinar this morning. Really great to have you with us. To introduce myself, my name's Kurt. I'm the sales director here at Pragmatiq. I've been working with Dynamics now for around 10 years. So my role here at Pragmatiq is to help our clients and help charities understand a bit more about what Dynamics does, what their requirements are, what they're looking for, and how the solution can work to improve and enhance the processes within the organization. I'm joined by a couple of one colleague and also one of our partners this morning. So Simon, would you like to just introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks very much, Kurt, and great to have everyone on the call. So I'm Simon. I'm a pre-sale solution architect here at Pragmatiq. So I've been working with Dynamics in the Power Platform for the past 8 years. My role is predominantly sort of hosting demonstrations and things like that from the technical perspective here.
Lovely, thanks, Simon. And also delighted to be joined by one of our partners from Creative Computing. Matthew, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. I've been working within the Dynamics channel now for 20 years, and I've helped successfully implement financial systems for a number of charitable and not-for-profit organizations.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So we've got a couple of great speakers with us this morning, and my role here is a bit of the facilitator and the presenter, if you like. So what we're going to be covering today is just an initial introduction to both of our businesses, so Pragmatiq and also Creative Computing. We've worked in partnership for many years now, covering the CRM and also the ERP side of Dynamics, helping many of our charity clients to achieve more with tech. So once we've done introductions, we're going to go into a bit of a fireside chat to try and understand from these two gentlemen more of the key challenges and the trends that our non-profit customers are facing. And coupled into those conversations, we're going to have some live demos and some live examples of some of the real world solutions and real world scenarios that our charity customers are using. So hopefully from today, you'll take away some great nuggets and some great ideas about how the Microsoft Dynamics technology could potentially help your charity to do more with less, and obviously to help more people, which is the main aim of the majority of our charities that we work with. So just to kick us off, for those who don't know, we Simon and I are representing Pragmatiq today. We're a Microsoft Dynamics specialist partner who works exclusively with the CRM side of the technology. We've been in business now for 8 years, and we've helped we've delivered over 150 projects, and a huge proportion of that are specifically working within the charities and the non-profit space. So we've got a lot of experience working with charities and non-profit organizations to help them achieve more with their technology. To enhance their processes. We are a accredited Microsoft Solutions partner. So that's in the top right hand corner. You can see the badge, which is kind of the old gold competency, if you like. And we're also really proud to have the low code advanced specialization, which puts us in the very top tier of Microsoft partners in the UK. And that's accredited by Microsoft. So we're a team of just over 35 people with a huge wealth of experience in the dynamic space with certifications and helping many clients of all shapes and sizes. And we're also very conscious of our own corporate responsibility. So we have our own charity of the year that we support. And this year it's the Place to Be charity, who help children with mental health challenges and so on. So that's a bit about us. I'm just going to hand over now to Matthew, who's going to tell us a bit more about Creative.
Excellent. Again, we've been around for many years. 500 plus software implementations, originally a Sage partner until the turn of the century when we took on Dynamics. And we've had a number of charitable and not-for-profit organizations over the years that have come to us to try to use our expertise. And again, we are a business applications partner as well. And obviously our goal is to always try and implement systems that are really going to help automate, drive processes, give better data, and it's our job to help guide our customers through those processes when we're setting up the systems, and we do that really well. And we work with some incredible not-for-profit companies like the Samaritans, and some we have some hospices and other great organisations, but also some membership organisations like Buckinghamshire Business First as well. So that's us at Creative, yes.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matthew. And also some of the charities that Pragmatiq have worked with. And why we've come together today to deliver this webinar is we've got a real strength of experience across the charity and non-profit space. And from the many years of us three all working in Dynamics now, what we've seen is really important is working with partners who have that experience over many years of working with organizations that are specific in an industry. So we understand the key challenges, many of the key outcomes, and obviously key drivers for working with technology and trying to do more. So in terms of today, as we said, we want to keep this as a fireside chat to try and really drill into both Simon and Matthew's experience, specifically working with charities and non-profits around Dynamics. So why don't you talk to us about why charities should choose the Microsoft platform? Perhaps Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so it's fundraising and finance across one platform, yes, one Dynamics platform, with great products in their own right, able to deliver functionality that allows for user interfaces that are brilliant for specific users. So the finance interface is superb for the finance team, and the fundraising element is built on originally what was a CRM type platform. So they're designed for the users that are going to use them. We've got connected data. We've got Copilot streaming through the products as well. And what's the alternative? The alternative is disparate systems, disparate data, and reporting not in a timely fashion. So having everything across one platform really allows you to drive all of that connected data, and also, as I say, the whole Copilot stream that comes across all of our platform as well. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And certainly many of our users, as you're saying, are really enjoying the fact that the Dynamics solutions are very familiar in terms of connected with that Microsoft ecosystem and have a familiar way of usability. So maybe, we could just see what's the breadth of what we can see today with the Microsoft technology?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So we're going to look at the initial fundraising, the reporting to the Board of Trustees, and we're going to kick off with Simon.
Yeah, thanks very much, gentlemen. So just to give you a bit of background, so the fundraising accelerator that we have at Pragmatiq is built on Dynamics 365, which is Microsoft's cloud-based CRM platform. So as a software as a service or SaaS-based solution, it gives charities secure, scalable foundation that fits naturally alongside the rest of your Microsoft tools. So if I look at the top hand left-hand corner, I can see the rest of the Microsoft applications that I would be accessing online. So using the fundraising accelerator, charities can manage their entire fundraising operation in a single application, which means capturing fundraising end to end, from the initial campaigns, the appeals linked to those campaigns, to funds, whether those are restricted funds or they are open funds, managing the events that go alongside that, any proposals where we're seeking, say, corporate fundraising activity. There's donor commitments or donation management, managing the pledges that sit behind that, capturing the financial transactions flowing from Business Central, so we can mark transactions as paid or unpaid, and then also managing the all-important gift aid submissions along the way. So importantly, it's not a standalone solution. The solution is very much focused around the fundraising side, but also the events management piece is coming from what's called Dynamics Customer Insights Journeys, which is Microsoft's marketing tool. So that also allows you to manage your outbound communications with individuals, whether they be donors or various other service users, for example, as well as also managing events. But it's all on a single data platform, with it allowing you to kind of interact and capture all of those interactions in a single source of truth. That's the picture from sort of the fundraising and engagement perspective on our side. Matthew, bringing in Business Central into the conversation, what does this look like from sort of a finance perspective?
Sure, thanks, Simon. So if we look at my screen, we're able to see that we can set up our chart of accounts for a charitable organisation with donations and legacies and investments. And also, though, we started the journey there, but how are we going to end up our journey? We're going to end it up with financial reports. And yes, we want to be able to see our cash flow and everything else, but actually we want to be able to design reports in here for our SOFA reporting, see what our surplus is, net change this year, net change last year, what variance have we have year on year, but also then be able to filter by funds, so restricted income, unrestricted, or income type. So income type might be donations, gift aid, government funding, grants, legacies. So we can do all of that sort of filtering against our reports in here as well.
Oh, that looks great. That looks great, guys. So how then do the funds raised come into the system, and what does that look like?
Great question. So in the fundraising system, we're going to be able to look at pledges, donations, and direct debits, all forms of charitable income that we need to be able to handle within the system. And over to you again, Simon.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matthew. So within the fundraising accelerator, it's really where we see that life cycle coming through from sort of a donation perspective. So if we start with some proposals, so for many charitable organizations, you may be seeking to receive some sort of donation or corporate partnership from businesses, whether they're in your local community, or indeed it might be sort of the national pots of funding, such as the national lottery. But effectively in here, we have the concept of a proposal. Now, you can think of it somewhat like a sales proposal, but this is essentially where we're seeking an amount of money. There is a process to then go through in order to receive that funding, and we then want to forecast that from a business perspective to say, actually, as a charity, we're expecting X amount of money within this given period. So, for example, here we're looking to essentially go out to this particular organisation called Brightnell Limited as part of one of our campaigns and receive some funding. So you'll firstly see that we've linked this to our winter campaign in 2025. So we can track the overall campaign that this proposal is linked to. Then the individual appeal. So we have what's called a corporate appeal, which is effectively just a way of categorizing that into a particular pot of money. So we can manage, how much money we've raised for the overall campaign, but also at the individual levels of an appeal, and then record that, as I said earlier, into a specific fund. So in here, we can see sort of the type of ask that we're making, how much the ask is for. So in this case, it's £4,230 when we're going to ask. And then we've got a bit of a process bar at the top to effectively guide our users on sort of what needs to happen. So this one is somewhat generic that we set up as part of the fundraising accelerator. But for you as a charitable organization, we could customize that to fit your particular processes. But the main aspect of this is we're then tracking that there is a particular amount of funding we're looking to receive. Now, you may then ask me, but what about individual givers who are giving on various donation platforms? So we then have what's called a donor commitment. So this is exactly the same as whether that's a corporate organization providing you with a donation or whether that's an individual doing some giving. But essentially, we have what's called a donor commitment. So you may just consider this to be a donation in many other fundraising platforms, but for us, it's a donor commitment. So essentially, this is a particular gift. So in this case, you can see there's two types of gifts. If I go into that particular gift, we've effectively got the details of that. So in this case, it's a regular gift. We can see who that particular constituent is. That could be an organization or an individual. We then have the concept of a subtype of gift. So it could be, in this case, a standard gift. We could create custom ones for, say, a luxury gift or anything else bespoke to your organization. We then have the date of the gift. We have the concept of splitting a gift. So you might want to effectively split that donation, mainly to put it into two different pots. If you have, say, a restricted fund and an unrestricted fund and you want to split that out, we have the ability to do that. And then you'll see it splits out the split gift at the top. And then there's even some logic behind the scenes that effectively tells us that the allocation doesn't amount to the total value, just to make sure we've done that correctly. But in essence, we're then just capturing, there is a particular donation. What was the payment method? We've got some controls around in memory of, so if people are giving legacies, anything like that. And then against that, we then have the concept of a transaction, which I'll touch on a little bit more later. But this is really where it kind of brings Business Central into the picture. So once we've got that donor commitment, someone's given us or is going to give us some money, all of the downstream reconciliation would then be handled within Business Central.
Fantastic. Thanks, Simon. That's a really detailed overview, and really like how the appeals and the campaigns can be linked, so you can, I assume, do some reporting at that higher level. What if we wanted to set up an event for a particular campaign or an appeal? How does that work?
Yeah, typically most, or if not all, charitable organisations or not-for-profit organisations are arranging events, and actually those management of the registrations is very powerful. So Simon's going to be able to show an event that's been set up and how those registrations are captured.
Yeah, thanks, Jans. So as I sort of mentioned earlier, so events is, you see here, baked into the interface of the fundraising application, but the functionality is really coming through from Dynamics Customer Insights Journeys, which is Microsoft's marketing tool. So in here, I've got a few active events that have been set up. Now, these may be events that I am hosting or our charitable organisation is hosting, and we can manage that end to end, but they may also be, in this case, external events. So you can see I've got London Marathon coming up this year. And I effectively still want to show that there is an event. I want to then track that against a specific campaign and appeal, essentially, again, to sort of control and organize the data behind our fundraising activity. So in this case, you can see I've got London Marathon here. I've got a unique event ID I've set up, and then that's linked to the campaign and appeal. I could then choose to link this to a particular fund. So in this case, if I wanted to set up a fund, I can create that fund. So let's call it general fund, for example. We've got controls, as I mentioned earlier, as to whether it's restricted or not. I can pick our project code, and then we also have control around whether this is gift aid eligible or not for that particular fund. But in essence, here is our event. We do also have some controls whether we want to stream this event. So for those of you who've used Teams webinar like we're using today, you'll see if I toggle this, I can then see that there is Teams webinar here, and then you have the controls around that, whether you want to control the meeting options. But essentially, this allows you to kind of manage that event all within the same data platform. We can then track things like the registrations themselves. So when individuals are registering, so you can see I've got a list of 5 individuals here. It creates a unique registration ID. If I just go into that very quickly to show you what that looks like, you'll see the details of that. We can see any transactions that are linked to that. So if people have purchased a ticket, whether it's a paid for event or made an immediate donation. And then you've got different details around that. So if there's a specific fundraising page that's linked to that registration, we've got some controls around like t-shirt sizes and things like that if you were giving that away. And then I also just wanted to show that we also have the concept of QR coding as well for tickets where you want to scan people in. But ultimately, it just allows you to show that there is an event. These are the individuals that registered. We then have the ability to link that to a particular website and registration form. So I can, within the marketing side, as I'll show you a little bit later, I can create the actual registration form to be posted on the website, and then that's all linked through here. So people can sign up for the event via the website, automatically register them, and bring them in here. And then we have the ability to capture kind of any additional information that we need. So if we wanted to capture, the financials at a high level in here, this isn't the full kind of Business Central level, but just to sort of track, our costs, how much are we looking to raise from that particular event. But it's all managed within one place. So that means that there's kind of, there's no manual processing, there's no disconnected systems. It's all in one single solution. But yeah, back to yourself, Kurt.
Yeah, that looks great. And if we wanted to thank our donors or our attendees that came along to the event, is that easy to do from the system?
Yes, I mean, we're now looking then at customer insight journeys and actually being able to deliver thank you emails. And again, let's see, Simon, how you can do that. Yes.
Perfect. So within Customer Insights Journeys, so it's all part of the same application. You'll just see in the top left-hand corner that the name has changed because we've got it on a separate tab. But on the left, you have all of the basic marketing concepts that I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, where you have your individual segments, you have the concept of the consent center to manage the type of emails that you're sending out, whether they are transactional, what's called commercial emails, which is sort of all your GDPR controls around what they receive. We then have the different communication channels, so emails, any forms that are created, as I mentioned, sort of web forms. We even have the ability to do push notifications and text messages as well for sort of multi-channel communications. But in essence, to start with, we have what's called a segment. So in terms of a segment, that's effectively just the people we want to send it to. So if we wanted to thank our donors or people who've attended an event, so let's go for donation thank you, for example. We then have the ability to use Copilot. So this can help us basically build that query of who we want in that particular data set. So in this case, say I wanted to use a prompt, I can just say, click on contacts who opened an email, for example. So if I just create that, what that will do is it will automatically kind of use that query. And then you see I can choose to use that, and that will automatically bring that across. In this case, although I've called it a thank you, I've got anyone who's opened an email in the last 28 days. But I just wanted to sort of show you that concept. So if I just go into one that I created yesterday, so you'll see that in here we have that particular donor commitment. So this is anyone that's made a donation. You'll see the bottom left-hand corner, it tells me how many people meet that particular criteria. So it allows you to see that. I can view a sample of that. So in here you can see these are all the individuals that meet that particular criteria. So they've made a donation, and then I can then use that to create that all-important marketing journey. So then if I flip across, we then have the actual journeys themselves. So in here, for example, there's a couple that I wanted to show. So firstly, event completed. So it may be that for a particular event, we just want to say, if you checked into that event, so in this case, that's my trigger, someone is effectively marked as checked in, that they turned up, we then want to send them an email. So in this case, here is a particular email that I've got. I can preview that email and see what that is. And then I can choose what happens. Does it just send them an email that ends the journey? In this case, I've just added a quick wait condition. And then I could choose to send them a follow-up email. So that's really important for creating multi-touch journeys. So it's not just a one-off, we send them an email and that's it. We may want to have multiple touch points. So if I, for example, show you this other journey I put together where we're seeking some donations from a particular segment, you'll see we're sending them this email. I'll preview that. You can see what that looks like. Just to check that's the right one, we've got our register link, so that all looks good. We then have some conditional logic in there, effectively saying what happens. So if there is a registration created, someone actually signs up for that event, we're then going to send them a thank you email. Or indeed, if they don't do that, we're then going to send them a reminder to continue to get them to register. But hopefully that just shows you the concept that you can create these multi-stage journeys based on people's interactions and bring that all-important data together. So from kind of a marketing standpoint and a connected fundraising platform, you can see all of that within one place. That's it from me. Back to yourself, Kurt.
Brilliant. I love the journeys in terms of how you can effectively make marketing work while you sleep or while you do other things. So yeah, I can see some real benefits there. We've spoken quite a bit about donation, Simon, and I guess the question we always get asked by our charity clients is, how do we actually handle gift aid in line with these donations?
Yeah, so Simon's going to show the confirmation from the donor and then run the gift aid declaration list as well. So let's see that, please, Simon.
Yeah, perfect. So on any particular contact, so if I just show you this particular contact here, we have the ability to capture details of their gift aid. So within here, you can see against that particular individual, we've got all of their active gift aid declarations. So you'll see here, we have the ability to track that. So if I go into that particular declaration, you can see we have the method that declaration was made. Is it for a single gift or is it for multiple gifts? And when was that made? So we can even link that to a particular file that if I click choose file, I can upload if I've got, a PDF copy, for example, of what they've submitted. But that's all important as well in terms of capturing when that was done. Now, When we've then got a gift, a claim that we want to make, we can effectively create what's called an export request. So that is effectively your submission file that you want to send across to HMRC. So effectively what we do here is we create a batch. So that you see at the top, we've got gather transaction. Now what that will do is that will bring together all of the transactions that meet that particular grouping. So let me just see if I've got one here. So here you go. So I've got all of the different transactions that basically fit within that particular period. So you'll see at the top, I've got some dates. And then what that does is that's going to apply the gift aid rules. You can see the status of those transactions. And then when I claim the transactions, that brings those together so they can't be claimed twice, just to make sure that that's done. And then what we can do from there is we can then create what's called a claim. So in this case, the claim is the physical file that we want to download. So you see at the top, I've got the ability to generate this. What that will do, that'll actually create the Excel file for me. So that will just download that file. And then what can happen then is that can be automatically or manually uploaded to HMRC's gift aid portal. So yeah, it's really important because it allows you as a charity to manage all of your gift aid through the fundraising accelerator, then create the actual batches and then submit those to HMRC for reconciliation. So it's all connected and it's all in one place. Back to you, Kurt.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm really getting the sense of this, that everything is all hanging together, one single system, no need to duplicate information or rekey. So that gift aid process certainly looks like a great time saver. So my next question is around the fundraising data. So it looks like we've got some great fundraising data here, but how does that show in the financial system?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Kurt. So within Business Central, we've got the ability to manage the all-important downstream finances. So that's everything from your direct debit mandates, the transactions from, say, platforms such as Just Giving as the ledger entries, and all of that kind of good finance stuff. So hopefully you can show us a little bit of that, Matthew.
Cool. So direct debits, notifications, billing requests, mandates, subscriptions. We're also able to take credit card payments with Stripe, so payments, refunds, notifications, all in there as well. Because obviously in the fundraising system, we're going to lodge a direct debit, but actually in the financial system, we're going to need to make it happen, yes? But also, if we go into our chart of accounts, we want to be able to see those donations that we've received. And typically in a financial system, you'd expect to see a number of ledger entries. But actually, because it's Microsoft Business Central, any list of data like this can actually be a pivot table. And if you're not great at creating pivot tables, we can actually ask Copilot to do that. So let's have our rows as funds and columns as periods. We want to be able to see what type of income we've had. We're asking Copilot, create us a new a pivot table in here. But if you're great at pivot tables, you'll be able to use the system as it is. So what it's done is it's listed our restricted and unrestricted fund income here, and it's put our periods across the top. So let's keep that. And we've got a completely new pivot table, and we can share that pivot table with any other users in the system. So when we see lists of data and ledger entries in our system, that's one thing, but actually what separates the Microsoft product from everything else out there is this ability to create pivot tables, but also our ability to use Copilot within the confines of the software to deliver automation and to deliver results for us. Yes? Back to you, Kurt.
Yeah, brilliant. That looks great. No doubt everyone loves a pivot table, and great to see how AI is starting to help with that report generation. So once the donations or direct debits are collected then in Business Central, how is that data then reflected back in the fundraising system as that single view?
Yeah, so both systems are connected via something called the Dataverse. So when we're talking about having connected data systems, and I mentioned earlier that the fundraising system is designed for the fundraisers, and the financial system is designed for the people in the accounts teams, but it has to be that connected data and this connected platform. And Simon will explain to you how the balances from Business Central are then reflected in the system, in the fundraising system.
Perfect. So, as I kind of marginally alluded to earlier, every donation we have is associated with a transaction. So, if I find a particular donor commitment, for example, so I'll go to an individual this time just to sort of show you how this would work. So we then have all of the transactions linked to that particular commitment. So where that's coming from Business Central is we might have initially that this person is going to make this transaction, or it may be that it's coming from one of those giving platforms such as Just Giving, and that would effectively be reconciled within Business Central. That's where you're capturing the actual cash flow of where that has come in. But then in here, we want to effectively track what's happened. So you'll see at the top, we've got what's called a status reason. So that is basically just marking this transaction as paid. So then on my list of transactions, I can see all of the different statuses. So I can see whether they are in processing. So in this case, here's one I've set up for Brightnell, which is a direct debit. So on our system, we can see details of that direct debit, the amount, and all of the things like tax and stuff. But that information is populated from within Business Central itself. So any details around that, whether that's been paid, whether it's still, for example, up here, it's been marked as processing, that can be updated automatically by Business Central. But it means that your users don't have to move across from fundraising into finance. Typically, we see that those teams operate quite separately to one another, but it means you as a user within the fundraising system can see all of those transactions, all of the donations that were supposed to come in, be forecasted to come in, all within one connected platform. So that's really important for you as an organization, so that you can actually check, that people are paying, that those donations are flowing through nicely, but being able to see the link between that and the actual finance data coming from Business Central.
Okay, yeah, so really getting the sense that you've got the opportunity to have the right people accessing the right data, but then the data is passing automatically between the two interfaces. So, okay, and then, so how can we see what costs that we've had against the campaigns and appeals?
Yeah, that's really good. So within Business Central, we've got things like the actual payables themselves. So what you can imagine, we've got like your general ledger. We can do analysis views against campaigns, events, funds. And we even have Copilot helping us, again, from sort of an AI perspective, where we have what's called the payable agent, which Matthew will show you shortly, which again adds a lot of value and makes life easier for you when you're sort of processing these financial transactions.
Great points. So Simon's right. We are going to have purchasing in here, purchase orders, purchase invoices, purchase quotes. But actually, we're on the cusp with AI of having agents delivering key processes for us. And the payables agent in Business Central allows us to do exactly that. It can monitor an email address. And what it can do is when your vendors send their invoices, let's go into one that I've done earlier, it's going to view the invoice that's come in from the vendor, and it's going to take a next step. And its next step is to then create a purchase draft document. It's held the attachment, it's created the lines, it's created the GL counts and everything that's going to be posted to. And then it's going to ensure that everything matches in the system and that everything matches in terms of amounts and VAT. And then it's going to draft a purchase invoice for us. And then it's going to finalize a draft invoice for us. And all of that can be done by the purchase agent with reviews. That's all you need to do as a user, is review what the purchase agent is doing. The purchase agent will do the rest. So it can do all of these steps, from taking that email with the vendor invoice, coding it to the right GL codes, creating purchase draft documents, and then creating finalized draft invoices, purchase invoices in the system. And it's a brilliant piece of functionality for Microsoft to be able to create these agents. Yes. Secondly, it's great having income, especially for things like events. But it's no good if we're spending more money on the events than we're making. So how can we analyze our costs? So I've created a cost analysis in here, and I'm just going to put a date filter in. This year. And we can look at this data year, quarter, month, weekly, daily. And what I'm going to do is I've got my GL accounts by period, but actually what I want to do instead is actually I want to look at my event costs. So let's show the matrix. So I can see in this period my events down the side, my costs there, or I could see exactly where our events costs come from. So let's look at our GL accounts down the side, and then let's show that event income across the columns. So then we can see everything in there, yes? And we can also filter by department. So what department in our organization where those costs come from, yes? If we're giving out grants to people or other organizations, how much have we spent on grants this year, or campaigns or events? So all of that sort of cost analysis can be done within the system.
Great. That looks fantastic, and so many time-saving ideas and functionality that you gentlemen have shared. The last question from me, and perhaps the most important, because this is one that will come up in every pre-sales conversation that we have, is what data and reporting can we present back, and what can the board of trustees expect to see from these solutions?
Sure. So Power BI is obviously the best tool that we have in the Microsoft platform, and we have somewhere around 100 reports already built by Microsoft in Power BI. But Simon's going to share the sort of fundraising dashboard that we can expect for the Board of Trustees. Yes?
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. So some of you may be familiar with Microsoft Power BI, some of you won't. So it's effectively Microsoft's business intelligence tool, hence the name BI. And it's really about creating powerful reporting, both in terms of visuals, but also what you can do with that report. So those of you who have seen this before, you'll know that you can effectively slice and dice this data. So here, for example, we've got one that we've set up with all of the details of our forecasting. So we can forecast how much we're expected to come in from a corporate perspective, how many gift aid claims we've done per fiscal quarter, donations by campaign, donations by fund, and then you'll see if I hover over these different areas, it then gives me more information about that. You also have the ability to filter the report, so I can filter the report based on, in this case, a specific campaign. If I wanted to filter the entire report based on that, and you'll see it will dynamically slice those reports. If I click on a particular donor, for example, you'll see again, it will filter those reports. We can even pop this out. So for those of you who thought it was a little bit small on my screen there, you'll see I can actually go into these and see those in a bit more detail just by clicking in the drill down. And then we can also navigate straight to Power BI if we wanted to do anything further with that. But where this is really important is you can get these to be created as what's called a paginated report, which is effectively like a static snapshot. So if you've got your board of trustee meeting coming up and you want to make sure that you've just got, you know, what the finance is looking like for, say, this month, this quarter, they can be created on a nice little glossy PDF and then shared with those people as a static copy. But also for users who are in CRM, you have access to these reports. They can see that data live as it comes through. So they can see, you know, how many donations have we had today, this week, this quarter, etc. And then it just is so powerful because you can apply those filters, so you can get to that granular level of detail to see sort of basically where your donations and funding is coming from. But yeah, hopefully that just gives you a little bit of a flavour for what can be sort of presented from a reporting perspective in the fundraising accelerator.
Yeah, that's great, Simon. And I assume I'm right in saying that we can have these sort of dashboards for all of the different parts of the organization, whether that's financial reporting or service delivery. And I know we've recently also done another webinar on data-driven decisions. So yeah, this is just one example, but we can have this kind of reporting across the board, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can use it for any reporting on any aspect of your organization.
Okay, brilliant. Well, guys, I mean, that's been so useful, and there's some brilliant nuggets in there in terms of saving time, getting better reporting, connecting the departments together in terms of front end and back end of the organization. We've got a few minutes left just now for questions. So if there are any questions, please do pop them in the box, and we'd be delighted to answer those. And I'm conscious we're coming just up for time. But let's kick us off with one of these. So could you perhaps just talk us through the pricing structure of the platform? I don't know who wants to take that one, Simon or Matthew.
Yeah, I can take that. So really, obviously, any pricing for Microsoft is license-based. The key to it is, though, that Microsoft gives such significant discounts to charities and not-for-profit organizations. And it's about exploring on a case-by-case because of the amount of users. But the actual cross-platform discounts that Microsoft provide are mind-blowing. I mean, they really are significant discounts. And we always see them as an investment. They're not a cost, because you are investing in the platform, you're investing in the data that you're going to be getting out, you're investing in Copilot, you're investing in automation and much better but structured data. Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you say, I think typically it's about 80% in terms of a discount on the license list price. So really great opportunity for charities to get all of this great functionality at a heavily discounted price. So and then maybe just the last question before we wrap up: how does the platform cater for both the fundraising and the finance teams? Perhaps as a bit of a summary overview of what we've seen today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as we've kind of shown today, there is a lot of cross-pollination of the data. We can see information in both systems, whether that be the initial kind of fundraising activity being done within the fundraising accelerator, to then moving across to the actual transactions themselves within Business Central, and then feeding that information back. But the key is that we sort of would expect that users may operate within their siloed system to a degree. Users who are doing fundraising in the fundraising team will probably just be looking at the fundraising database, and vice versa. Those who are accessing Business Central from a finance perspective will probably just be looking through that lens. But the main thing here is that they are connected systems. So the data is flowing between both Business Central and the fundraising accelerator. So they can both see the same data. It's all connected. It's all there, no matter kind of which end you're accessing it from. So it's a really kind of powerful tool to have that end-to-end data platform.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Guys, thank you so very much for your time today. That's been super informative. There's been some really interesting points raised, some great functionality that you've presented. Just before we close, just wanted to thank everybody as well for joining and giving us your time. We really do appreciate it, and we hope that you've taken away some nuggets and some thoughts from the session and from the great demos and answers that the guys have given to us. On the screen, you'll see a QR code, which if you'd like to scan that and follow it, then we're offering a discovery call to all of those attendees today, completely free. It'll be 30 minutes of your time, and we'll go through specifically some of the challenges and also the opportunities that you see within your organization, whether that's been inspired by today or by some recent conversations and meetings that you've had internally. And then out the back of that, we can help you understand a little bit more about how we help organizations with some of the relevant functionality, with some of the implementation approaches, and also some of the success stories that we've had with other charities as well. So I'll leave that up there just for a minute. Please do scan that and submit your details, and we'll be in touch to book that call. I'm also told by Marnie that we will be sending the recording out, so you'll be able to access that. We'll also be creating some video content which will go up on our socials and our YouTube as well. So just again, thank you very much for your time today. We really do appreciate it. Hope you've taken something useful from it. And just one more time, thank you, Simon and Matthew, for all of your great insights and conversation today. It's been great to speak with you.